to attend there. I was not able to agree because I had a prior commitment. A week later, Glenn Normanthal called me and said, listen, you got to come to the, I said, Glenn, I've got a commitment, I can't go. I said, listen, I'm getting an award, it's very important to me, and I want you to be there because it means a lot to me. You owe me, you've been friends a long time. I said, well, I'll see what I can do. I made all kind of arrangements. I drove 100 miles from Gonzales to be here tonight. Where's Glenn? What's the difference between a lawyer and a catfish?
What's that?
One of them is a bottom-dwelling, scum-sucking, slimy creature with a big head and a wide mouth. The other one is a catfish. I'm glad to be here because in 1971, when I was a young congressman from Florida, I came to Louisiana to announce the fact that I was going to run for governor. Now everybody said, you can't win. You're from South Louisiana. You're Catholic. The North Louisiana people always elect the governor. You might as well give it up. I said, well, it's time for a change. And I went through a very hard race. There were 20 candidates in the first election. Bennett Johnson and I ended up in the runoff. And I beat him by just a few thousand votes, primarily because of the votes that I got from Lafayette, Iberia, Parish, St. Martin, Houma, and Thibodeau, and places like that. And I got criticized because the night I won, when the final results came in, I was very enthusiastic and I said, 3 cheers for the Kunasses. I got criticized for saying that. But I said, I'm one of them, so I can say whatever I please. You know, I heard that Adam told God one day that, he said, I'm tired of living by myself. I want a friend. I want somebody to be a companion. And so God said, well, I'll make a woman for you. And Adam said, what's a woman? He said, well, a human being with long hair, a beautiful figure, soft voice, beautiful woman. She'll bear your children, cook your food, take care of you, and anytime you want to have sex, she'll say okay. I said, that sounds good. What will it cost me? An arm and a leg. What can I get for a rib? God put him to sleep, took out a rib, and created Eve. And when Adam woke up, God said, there's your companion. And Adam looked at Eve and he said, oh, that's a beautiful creature. I'm going to like being with her. I'm sure she's going to be a great companion. And God said, well, I brought her here for your sake. Why don't you go over there and have sex with her? And Adam said, what is sex? So God explained that to it, and Adam took off. He came back 20 minutes later and he said, God, what's a headache? The reason I told you that is because Trina's not here tonight. Because if she was here, she wouldn't let me say that. But you forgive me. I'm proud to be a Democrat. My father was a Democrat, my mother was a Democrat, and I was born a Democrat and I'm going to die a Democrat. I was in Congress in the 1960s. You couldn't get a Republican to vote for a tax hike for anything. You couldn't get them to vote to raise the debt ceiling. You couldn't get them to vote for anything that was for good people. Now look what happened. Republicans took over. They conned everybody by telling us they were going to give us a tax break. They said the biggest tax rate in the history of the country, but it's practically the 8th biggest. But wait, they didn't pay for it. They borrowed the money. They didn't give us anything except what they borrowed from us. But you know what? Your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and their children will pay for it. Because they added $1 trillion to the national debt. $1 trillion. That's a 1 with 12 zeros. If you took $100 bills and stacked them, it would reach a pond 62 miles high, a quarter of the way to the moon. It would weigh 10 tons. No one has ever been a trillionaire. That's so much money. There are billionaires, millionaires, but no one's ever seen that much money. Now, tax break for us, 85% of the money went to people who make over $5 million a year. Corporations got rich. They said that the corporations would take the money and raise salaries of their employees. You know what they did with the money? They bought back their own stock. They increased the value of their company. Now, they still go around talking about how wonderful that was. And you know something? All but one member of the legislative delegation from Louisiana voted for that thing. Something else. Medicaid. What does it mean to Louisiana? 400,000 people. Old people. Children. Unemployed people. Get health care, which I need, by the way. Medicaid. If you add the doctors and the nurses and the ambulance drivers and the hospital workers that benefit from the health care given to Medicaid people, it amounts to 500,000 people in this state. All but one of our congressional delegation voted for that. 500,000 people in Louisiana would benefit from it. And you know what? It wouldn't cost us a nickel. The first 3 years, the federal government would pay all of it, and after that, 90% of it. Yet 500,000 people didn't have an opportunity to have anybody in Congress except one person from New Orleans, a Democrat. By the way, I'm fine. Support it. I'm going to remind Glenn of this. Well, people, children in schools are too frequently being killed by people with automatic weapons.
That's right.
You would say, well, let's be reasonable about this. I had 260 guns one time in my life. I gave them to Ducks Unlimited to raise funds for ducks habitat. But I never had a rifle that would shoot 500 rounds in a minute. Well, a fellow can kill people with a shotgun or a pistol, that's true. But I'll tell you what, nobody with a pistol can kill 17 children like a fellow with a gun that shoots 500 rounds a minute. Trying to talk to the Republicans about just saying, okay, keep your gun. I'm for gun. I believe in the Second Amendment. I think people should have a gun to protect themselves or to hunt with. But you don't need a bazooka. There's nothing in the Constitution that guarantees you the right to have a gun that shoots 500 rounds a minute. The NRA has more influence on Congress than the parents of 300 or 400 dead school kids who should have been in school to learn rather than to get shot. What was Trump's suggestion? Arm the teachers. Teachers go to school to teach children, not to defend themselves. But I did think somebody had a good idea. We should do something to protect the children in school. Now, thank goodness none of that happened in Louisiana. But it shouldn't happen anywhere in the United States of America. Well, I don't know what's taken over these people. Why they're so impatient and unwilling to do anything to help the poor, the needy, and those who depend upon government to get by in life. Now look, I'll get something controversial. I'm not an abortionist. Never been involved with it. Don't promote abortion. But I have my own opinion. A woman who is raped and becomes pregnant as a result of it should not be forced to carry the child. Not mine and not government. You know, some of these Republicans think that life starts at conception and ends at birth. You can make an argument about where and when conception creates life, or where life starts in the womb. I can see that people can have different opinions, and I respect that. But look, you can't argue about what is death. You die when you die, not when you're born, or not when you are conceived. And the Republicans have this hard and fast idea that government should tell a woman what to do with her life, regardless of what happened. And I'm telling you, that's just not right.
Thank you.
I don't understand. You know, I was elected to Congress in 1965 in a special election because our congressman had died. Because it was a special election, when I took office in 1965, I had to run for re-election in 1966, just a few months later. And I was being pretty well attacked because I was a Democrat and the Republicans were beginning to gain strength. I was in Ville Platte one July evening, afternoon. Great crowd of people at the courthouse. I was making a speech, enjoying myself. They were having a good time. They were wearing signs. Edwin is the best man. Keep Edwin in Congress. Give Edwin another term. And the crowd was really revved up and going good. And I was too, until through the crowd came running, walking, a woman with straggly hair, ugly as homemade, wearing a shaggy dress. It looked like she'd just come out of the cotton field. And obviously very, very pregnant. Carrying a sign that said, "Edwards is the man." Get a heart attack in the middle of that. Another story. I was campaigning for re-election in Lake Charles. Went to a barber shop, shaking hands, and just myself. And okay, I'll talk to you. I'll be glad. I'll vote for you. I'll vote for you. And I came to this fellow and said, "I can't vote for you." I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "I only have one arm." I said, well, it only takes one arm to turn the key on the voting machine. He said, yes, but what will I hold my nose with? I finished law school in 1949 when I was 21 years old. After having served a little while in the Navy during World War II. And then I went on to practice law in Crowley and had a large practice with the people here because I had an advantage. I spoke French and I could read and write French. And in those days, a lot of people, while they understood English, would prefer to speak French and felt more comfortable. So I used that. And it gave me an opportunity to continue my practice. And if I had just continued to be a lawyer instead of a politician, I'd be like Rick, like Glenn. But I couldn't afford the billboards. I built a new building in Crowley in 1966, 65, sometime around there. The local paper, it was the first new building built in Crowley in 50 years. The local paper covered it, and they sent a photographer to take pictures of the building. They took a picture of me sitting behind my desk, and on the front of my desk was a sign given to me by my brother when he was in Korea, which said, Edwin Edwards, attorney-at-law. The picture came out, and that little faceplate was in the picture, in the paper. Lawyers filed an ethical charge against me for advertising. I lived to see a friend of mine spend $2 million a year on billboards. That's okay. Well, things have changed. When I was in Congress, we had Democrats and Republicans, but we got along. We differed, but we didn't argue and fight, and curse each other, call each other names. We made things happen. Nothing happens now. If the Republicans are for it, the Democrats are against it. If the Democrats are for it, the Republicans are against it. If Trump's for it, the Democrats are against it, and the Republicans are for it. It doesn't matter what it is, the Republicans are for it. Now, among the things that I'm not for is $30 billion to build a wall. Now, I'm not for taking a 2-year-old child from his mother and father. That's just not right. And I don't know why it happened. That's not America that I love. We're not that kind of people. And I hope that that will change. Now, we have an election in just a few weeks. Coming up. I don't see much hope for any Democratic members of Congress from this state elected, except the one who's already there now. But in the rest of the country, it looks like there's a possibility that the Democrats may end up taking over the House. And if that happens, hopefully we'll see some change. But already, well, that's a Democrat.
There we go. She's not here.
There's your campaign manager.
Oh, yeah.
We got Mimi Mather running.
It's good seeing you. She's from Baton Rouge, by the way. But she runs for Secretary of State, so you'll have a chance to vote for her. But anyhow, I think it's time for us to realize that as Americans, we have different opinions, different ideas, different ideologies. But we need to get along. We need to quit fighting and calling names and acting like we're aren't you better than that? You can't have a disagreement with anybody without calling them a name or shooting them. Things just have to change. Now, somebody ever asked you, what's the strangest thing you've ever seen? You tell them, well, I saw a fellow one time who was 91 years old, who had 4 children over 60 years old and a 5-year-old child. I asked him the other day, he wanted to go to the store and get a coat. He said, that's a damn good idea. He gets that from his mother. I mean, she likes coats. Anyhow, I really am happy to be back in Lafayette. One thing you got here is good food. And I'm very proud to be what I call myself a Cajun. I'm proud of the fact that I live in a state where blacks and white and Cajuns and Catholics and Protestants get along. The rest of the country can fight and fume and call each other names, but we get along, and I'm very proud of that. You know what? I like to tell people that I'm in part responsible for that. When I was 10 years old, I used to ride a school bus 8 miles into town. First 4 years of my school, I went to school with one teacher, one room, no electricity, no running water, no indoor plumbing, no heating. The teacher taught 4 grades. First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. I had to listen to everything 4 times before I got out. Then when they closed the school, I rode a school bus 8 miles into town before it was a legal and political controversy. The school bus that I rode in was half empty. Every morning we passed 5 or 6 little black children walking to school, which was halfway between where I lived and where my school was. That school bus, half empty, passed those kids in the mud and dust, in the cold and the rain. And when I came home from school, we passed them coming home walking. Listen to this. I came home one day and I said, Daddy, why doesn't the school bus pick up those kids? We have plenty of room. My father looked at me and he said, that's wrong. That's bad. And one day somebody's gonna do something about it. And you know who helped do something about it? Me.
Yes.
We are all God's children. He made us all. And some of us are this or that. Children are born without arms, without eyes, without the ability to think or see or eat. They too deserve some attention. They too need us who are better treated to do what we can to make their life better. That's why I'm a Democrat. Because I think government should serve those not who already have enough, but those who need things to get by and by. I think pendulum is swinging. I'm 91 years old. I may not live long enough for it, but everyone in this room will live long enough to see the Democrats running this country again, because we stand for what's right with people. Thank you for inviting. I look forward to saying, you know what a buffalo tells his son? His son goes off to college. My son.